Welcome to the It's in Queens podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Simmons, and this is the only podcast that focuses on my borough of Queens. This podcast comes to you each week thanks to the Queens Tourism Council and the Queens Economic Development Corporation. Together, they work tirelessly to showcase our borough as a destination filled with amazing experiences, cultural gems, and opportunities for everyone who lives here, works here, or is visiting from near or far. And when we talk about the incredible variety of things in our borough that you can do, one place that always stands out is the New York Hall of Science. It's a space that makes you feel curious and creative the moment you step through its doors. Now, I'll be honest, I wasn't exactly a stellar student back in high school. I could hold my own in English and even in history, believe it or not. But when it came to math and science, let's be honest, I spent a lot of time looking out the window. But there was something about my science classes that stuck with me. The sense of wonder, the hands-on discovery, the spark when you actually see how something works. It's why I joined the after-school science club. That is why whenever I'm at an event at the New York Hall of Science, I make sure to wander through the exhibitions. There's always something new to explore, whether it's learning about the physics behind, sports, tinkering with interactive exhibits, or watching families light up as they experiment together. It reminds me that science is not just something that we learn in school. It's part of how we understand the world around us every single day. So today, I'm thrilled to be joined by someone who lives and breathes that mission, Christopher Eby of the New York Hall of Science. Christopher plays a key role in helping bring science education to life, connecting youth and adults alike to the joy of discovery through hands-on learning, creative programming, and community events that make STEM accessible for everyone. Christopher Eby, welcome to the It's in Queens podcast.
Thank you for welcoming me to the podcast world.
Let us start off, as much as we're talking about your institution, let us start off by finding out a little more about you and your background and what led you to the New York Hall of Science.
Sure. No, that's great. So I'm actually a Queens-born kid. I was born in Flushing, Queens, about a mile or two away from the New York Hall of Science right now. And I grew up mostly on Long Island, and early in career had jobs in the public sector. And then spent some time in nonprofit startup world out in Asia, and then came back to the US and got a graduate degree and worked for a large consumer products company based in New York, but with operations all over the world. And I did innovation work for them, new product development, digital infrastructure, and digital transformation work. And then post-COVID, happened upon an opportunity to take a lot of that varied skill set to a very purposeful destination, and one that's really been a home for innovation in the way that science and technology centers attract people and give them the tools to be the future innovators of the world. And so I was hired to be the Chief Marketing and Business Development Officer after a very rough patch coming out of the pandemic and the flood.
So for anyone who's listening to this, who's maybe not from Queens, because if you're from Queens, you really should know about the Hall of Science. But for anyone who is not familiar, give us an overview of what the Hall of Science offers today and what really makes it a special place for families and learners of all ages.
Yeah, it really is a wonderful destination to learn, to be inspired. You know, the Hall of Science started back in 1964, 65 as part of the New York World's Fair. It was one of our buildings. The Great Hall was called the Great Hall of Science. Is still with us, a magnificent Art Deco building. And since the very beginning, like a lot of science centers, you know, we were started to be a place where people could be hands-on and people could understand science and technology and engineering and math in ways that would bring them closer to the subjects and in ways that made people that might have felt more marginalized in those kinds of fields more welcome to come and give things a try and maybe to be inspired and to try something new and maybe launch a career or a new invention or a new innovation. So we are a science center, but we're much more than that. We call ourselves an innovative science center and a learning lab and a place where we not only inspire kids of all ages to play internally in our building, but we also do a lot of education in STEM research, working on large federal, I should say, countrywide projects with different institutions. We work on a lot of grants with sister institutions, and we want to make sure that we are giving that research out to the educators and informal science educators to be at the forefront of STEM education for the future. So we're both a science center that you can play in every day, and we're also a research center that hopefully inspires STEM careers going forward.
And one of the ways you inspire families and anyone who really just visits the Hall of Science is through this exhibition, CityWorks, which opened this past spring. There's been a lot of buzz about this. For anyone who's not seen it yet, what is CityWorks and what kind of experience does it give to visitors?
Yeah. So CityWorks opened in the beginning of May of this year. It's our largest new exhibit at the Hall of Science in over 15 years. It's in our largest exhibit space in an area called the Upper North Wing. And it really is it's a super interactive exhibit that explores the often invisible inner workings of what we call the built urban environment, so cities. I like to call it like a way to peel back the onion of the city and look at its different layers and understand how water moves through the city, how electricity moves throughout the city, how we stay connected as residents of the city through transportation infrastructure, how a city figures out what to do with its waste every day. And so we have a lot of fun exhibits on how we work with our sanitation friends and keep the city clean. It really is an immersion into what keeps New York City and all cities working every day.
So, we've touched on this. The Hall of Science is a hub for hands-on learning. Talk a little about how you navigate balancing fun and also serious science education through your exhibits and programs.
Yeah, we actually talk about that a lot and what the role of fun is in what we do every day. We'd like to think that science education and STEM education in general can be fun. It doesn't have to really be a choice on whether it needs to be serious or fun. And the reason why we can do that and why we play in that space is almost everything that you experience here is hands-on, and you're part of the process of discovery. And when you do something for the first time or do something in a different way for the first time and experience what the outcome is in a different way, you can't help but crack a smile or get an aha moment. And that intuitively is a lot of fun. And we also describe what we do as informal education. So we're an experience at the Hall of Science is meant to complement what kids of all ages, and we do have, kindergarten through university kids and then graduate students and others come and experience us. But really it adds to what people are learning in the classroom. It certainly doesn't replace it. We'd like to say that, we bring what's in textbooks or e-readers to life in a new way and hopefully get it to sink in that fun way that we were just talking about.
Now, we talked about CityWorks, but that's not the only thing people can experience and see. And I'd love to just look ahead through the latter part of this year. Just talk a little about what's on the horizon, anything else that you're really excited about that you want people to kind of check out the website, which we'll give later, but to mark their calendars to make sure they visit because you've got some exciting things ahead.
Yes. So CityWorks is a big new exhibit. And of course, we have a number of other exhibits that are very popular with Queens folks, city folks, and our visitors to New York City. We do have a very popular Bubbles exhibit, again, fun for all ages. And then we also have our science playground that's available when the weather permits, and it would be available throughout this fall and winter. And so that's one of the largest science-themed playgrounds in the northeastern U.S. And so that's available. We also have what we call our design lab, which is a hub of activity. Every day there are different activities set up and think about them as little hives of STEM activity around this one area of our museum. And you can do things from making structures out of simple ingredients or tools to working with electricity and working with power drills and other things. And that's always a fun destination for people of all ages to kind of create something while they're on a visit here. But in addition to that, we also have different kinds of programming that is kind of regular and scheduled, and also some special things this fall. Specifically for teens, we have a number of teen STEM nights that are upcoming. On November 13th, we have a virtual STEM night that's talking about tomorrow's technology and understanding the world of AI today. On November 22nd, we have a session for teens as well about getting test ready. How important are the ACT and the SAT? And talking a little bit more and giving some coaching hints to our teenage audience. And then we also have a STEM night on December 11th that's going to be talking about the science behind video games and what it takes to put those wonderful activities together, and how you can be a part of that video game making world.
That's gonna
Aside
be
from
that's
that,
gonna be a popular one.
yeah, and as the dad of two teenagers, I see it every day. And I love playing video games when I was young, but they take on a completely new dimension now. So a lot of great activity there. We also have, for different ages, we have a great membership program that includes Toddler STEM Story Hour that happens regularly, sensory explorations, where you can interact with different exhibits in different ways. We have Sunday family zones, a heck of a lot more. We also have the return of birthday parties to the Hall of Science, which is a lot of fun for our youthful audience. But these are all activities that are outlined on our websites and social media, and we'll give you those addresses in a bit.
And I always like to make sure that when I interview anyone from a cultural institution, I talk about how they connect with the community. And of course, there are various communities, a variety of ones here in Queens. But talk a little about how the Hall of Science plays a bigger role in the broader Queens community through partnerships and outreach and local collaborations.
Yeah, well said. The Hall of Science does is and continues to be very proud of where we're located in the world's borough. And we're in a place that maybe people from Queens know well, in Flushing Meadow, Corona Park, but a lot of outsiders don't know this part of New York well. And so I'd say that we have a number of different networks that we're trying to tighten and strengthen so that we can, maybe punch above our weight with, especially with visitors or those who aren't as familiar with the area. So we're very close with the other cultural institution groups, or I should say the other members of the cultural institution groups in Queens. And so obviously we're right next to the Queens Zoo, and we partner up with the Queens Museum and other entities. We actually just had a press program for all of our fall programming together. We also have throughout the pandemic and then afterwards, we have resilience initiatives with the local community. And we want to make sure that we are both giving back to the community as much as we can, but also welcoming the community in this time of constant change. We want to be a steady place that we know our local community can come in and learn and grow. We also have community hours every Friday afternoon where people from the community and elsewhere in New York City can come and visit us for free, and come and check out our exhibits and our initiatives and be welcomed into the Hall of Science family. These are just a few of the ways that we connect with the community, but like the other things that we do, you can find a whole lot more on our website.
And we're going to get to that address in just a moment, because before I go, I really want to make sure that for anyone who's listening who might not have visited the Hall of Science in years, or anyone who's just listening to the podcast and never knew about it before, talk a little about why it's important for them to visit, what they're going to get from it, why they should come back and experience it today.
Yeah, it's the Hall of Science is a place that allows you to what we have a learning mantra of design, make, play. And what I love about it is you can come in with some simple questions about simple topics, things that you might do every day and how things work or why things, what is the chemistry behind what I'm doing every day, or I didn't know a little bit of, about cells and biology. And you come in with questions, and through our exhibit experiences and our programs, we allowed you to kind of to play through those questions. And a lot of times that generates more questions that instead of just coming up with answers, it actually gets you interested in learning a little bit more and a little bit more deeply. And it's not something that it's not a response that you often get by just listening to something or just reading something, but having that ability to pause from your everyday life and play with a new design, play with the way that something works, build something that solves a problem, and then seeing how that would work, with others, just gives you a different perspective, and it empowers you to come up with new ideas and innovative ways to tackle simple and complex problems that you have every day. And I think the other thing is that we're a place that where everyone is welcome. We say that we have a very big front doorway, and we welcome in our populations in Queens and our neighborhood friends in Queens, but then people from all over to come in and experience this way of learning with us. And there really is no other place in New York City that allows you to have this kind of hands-on play everywhere, where instead of going to a museum and being told that you really shouldn't touch this, to having us tell you touch everything, feel everything, let us know how that makes you feel. And so it's really a unique place of learning, and we see that reaction and that expression, and you can see it in our social media posts of people experiencing something new to them or a new way of doing something every day, and it really resonates with our audiences.
You also have a very big, important event coming up on November 17th. We'd love to hear about it.
Yep. So the New York Hall of Science will host its annual gala on November 17th, and it'll be at Cipriani Wall Street downtown in Manhattan.
Wait, not in Queens? No, I'm
What's
kidding.
that?
Go.
I know, I know. We rotate locations around the city, and there aren't that many that can host as many people that want to come and support us, and this was one of them. But yes, we will end up back in Queens at some point too. But at this gala, we have a couple of different honorees that are interesting this year. We will be celebrating the Simons Foundation, and they're a group that has sponsored our activity and activities across science centers around the country for years. They're extremely passionate about STEM education and different ways to get young learners, especially interested in STEM fields, and so we're proud to honor them. We also have Rick Cotton, who's the executive director of the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, and he'll be honored at our gala, and we felt that was extremely timely given our work with CityWorks and all of the innovation going into the changes at LaGuardia and at JFK, two of our two Queens iconic destinations. And then we're also celebrating one of our explainers. And for those of you who haven't been to the New York Hall of Science, the Explainer Program is an example of innovation that the Hall of Science has given to science centers around the country. When you come in and visit, you'll see our explainer crew in red aprons, and they are high school and college students who are trained to explain the finer details of science, technology, engineering, and math, and how they come through in our exhibits in a way that's engaging, in a way that welcomes people to ask more questions. And there are these beacons of interest and light on the floor that we have every day, and we are going to be honoring one of ours as our key explainer of the year, and highlight what their success story and their backgrounds were to come to this event. So a lot of excitement for the gala, and we hope that we can see some of you there.
You mentioned social media, and I'd love for you before we go, for you to share some of the ways that people can find out more and connect with you. Obviously, we need that website.
Absolutely. You can find a lot of our activities through your favorite social media platforms. We are very lively on Instagram, and you can find us. You could put in the New York Hall of Science or just NYSCI on places like Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Well, we've had a lot of recent activity on TikTok. You can also follow our handle on X or our video coverage and video content on YouTube. All just by looking at New York Hall of Science or NYSCI. And yes, our website, which has a lot of information and new content gets posted every day, is www.nysci.org. That's nysci.org. And we hope that you get a chance to give a look at some things and to reach out to us if you have any questions.
Christopher Eby, I want to thank you so much for appearing here on this week's It's in Queens podcast.
It's a pleasure to be here with you. Thank you so much for inviting us.
I always walk away from the Hall of Science inspired, and I hope that after hearing this conversation, you do as well. So here are a few fun facts. The Hall of Science first opened during the 1964 World's Fair. Today it's home to more than 450 interactive exhibits. It's also one of the only remaining structures from that World's Fair that's still in use, a living link between Queens' past and its future. Now, if you haven't visited lately, please, now's the perfect time this fall. Make a point of adding it to your calendar. The museum's seasonal programs are a hit with families, and there's always something happening almost every weekend, from science fairs to hands-on workshops to community nights. And speaking of exploring, that brings me to Rob Mackay. Rob Mackay each week provides us with a report on some of the more exciting events that are happening in our borough. Here's this week's report.
Hi, Jeff. This wouldn't apply to a happily married man like you, of course, but I want to tell you about a Singles Day event. It's called Singles Day, and it's taking place at the Shops at Skyview, which is a shopping center on College Point Boulevard in Flushing, based on Asian single day events, which I get are very popular. This is a 2-hour or 3-hour activity, which is going to have everything from makeover demonstrations by Sephora to a cover model photo birth to a winter coat drive, lucky bags for purchase, a singles bar with free beverages, and then it's all going to come to a climax with an appearance by Kim Mingwei, who is a South Korean K-drama star known for his roles in Business Proposal and Snowdrop. So this is apparently a very fun place and a way to celebrate being single, which isn't so bad. It's November 9th, 2 to 5 p.m. Again, it's at the Shops at Skyview. Thank you.
Thanks, Rob. And by the way, Rob is with the Queens Tourism Council and the Queens Economic Development Corporation. And that's just a few of the things that are happening in Queens. And trust me, there's so much more. We are right in the heart of fall. And even with a few gloomy and windy days lately, this is one of the most beautiful times to get out and experience Queens. Whether it's a walk through Flushing Meadows Corona Park as the leaves turn gold, grabbing a warm bite from a food truck in Astoria, or catching a cultural performance in Jackson Heights in an outdoor plaza, there's always something waiting to be discovered. Remember, the place to go to plan your adventures is very easy to remember. Visit itsinqueens.com for everything that's coming up. And for business-related news and ways to help your own business grow, visit queensny.org. And when you're there, or when you visit the It's in Queens website, take a moment and sign up for their newsletters. You'll get connected with all that's happening in our borough. And do not forget, when you're visiting the Hall of Science, make sure to take some photos and tag us on Instagram or on X. Use the hashtag #It'sInQueens because your photo could become our photo of the week. I'm your host, Jeff Simmons, and that's it for this week's It's in Queens podcast. Thanks for listening, and until next week, keep exploring the best borough in New York City.